Hey, what's up, Crypto Army? I'm Travis, your crypto newbie, bringing you my experiences so you don't have to learn things the hard way. Just a reminder, I'm not a financial advisor. None of my content should be used as financial advice. If you like what my channel offers, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like the video, and turn on notifications so you get notified of new content when I publish it. It also really helps the channel grow and get the content to others that might find this channel interesting. So for today, I wanted to cover tax considerations and how to track your transactions. Um, I started with this way too late. I mean, I kept track of my transactions, but I very quickly realized how little I knew about tracking crypto transactions. So that's really the focus of today's video, is how to track these transactions, and then kind of what are the tax considerations that you should be aware of. All right, so let's dig right in. Most of this video, or I should say all of this video, is going to be focused more on the US because that's where I'm at and that's what I know best. So without further ado, let's jump right in. So first up, everything that I'm going to talk to and everything that I'm going to describe for the websites, I'm going to put all the links below. So don't worry about writing down the website locations. All of them are going to be in the description of this video, so feel free to click those links and it'll take you to these websites that I've got displayed here. So let's start with the IRS. It's important to know, for tax purposes, what is the IRS, how they view cryptocurrency, right? So virtual currency is a digital representation of value that functions as a medium of exchange, a unit of account, and or a store of value. And if you've watched some of my videos, I've already kind of covered exactly what a cryptocurrency is and what a store of value and how the IRS sees that, but that's straight from the IRS. And you can take a look at this website. It's got a lot of good information on it if you're really just getting into cryptocurrency. Basically, what does that mean, right? So it considers cryptocurrency to be a property. And capital gains and losses need to be reported on Form 8949 and Schedule D. So there are two primary things you need to be concerned with that I just kind of said there. Ordinary income and capital gains. That's really what matters when you're talking about cryptocurrencies, those two buckets, as it were, of transactions. Now on this website, if you click this IRS Notice 2014-2021, you'll get to this website, and this will provide you a whole bunch more information. What's really helpful on this particular website is these questions and answers down here. That's really what I'm taking to this website for, is these can answer a lot of your questions. So I highly recommend you take a look at this because it might answer the questions that you've got moving forward. Now the IRS website is always the best place to start, but Congress is always looking at how to regulate crypto. Like I said in a previous video, it's the wild, wild west of crypto right now. So there's a lot of congressional interest in how to tax crypto, obviously, because they want their money, right? Who doesn't? On the screen there, I'm showing one example from a recent article where Congress has taken a look at trying to close the wash sale rule loophole that doesn't currently apply to crypto. Now this is relevant because there's a lot of people that do this to try to avoid having to pay higher taxes down the road. So if you've never heard of the wash sale rule, it's good to go take a look at. I actually exploit this quite a bit myself, so I'm kind of hoping they don't change this, but it is a great option or ability right now for how to work with your crypto. So that I would take a look at that. I will also put that link in the description. So what's important as far as the transactions? What are the taxable transactions? If you mine, if you buy, you receive cryptocurrency and eventually sell, spend, swap, or trade cryptocurrency, all of that is important information for tax purposes. Because of the capital gain or the loss, plus all the fees associated with everything that you're doing. All of that information is important for you to track. And this is really where cryptocurrency taxes can get complicated, is all of these different transactions and how to record your transactions. So let's talk capital gains for a second. So capital gains and losses, your gain may be short-term or long-term, depending on how long you held the cryptocurrency before you sold it or exchanged it. So let's say you buy Ethereum, right? And you trade that for say Tama or some other cryptocurrency, if it's under 12 months, you could potentially have a gain. Even if you sold it within hours, you could have a gain, or you could have a loss, because the market for cryptocurrency changes dramatically very quickly all the time. Here's a great example. So Gravitoken, as you can see here, this is today's data from CoinMarketCap. At the beginning of the day, or around 10:50 this morning, it was at 6 cents. Now, mind you, it's the same day, and we're all the way up to 46 cents. So if you bought it today, what value do you put on for your tax paperwork? Now, if you recorded it in an Excel or some other program, depending on when you did it, maybe it was 6 cents, depending on when you did the transaction, or maybe it was 46 cents. But it's possible, and I'd say likely, that this coin's going to drop down, because that's a significant increase. Eventually it's going to correct itself, more than likely. But I mean, it's still going up right now. So if you're watching this right now, maybe it's a good time to buy Gravitoken. I don't know anything about it, and this isn't financial advice. I haven't done any research. I'm just using this one as an example because it's had significant gains today. But when you record the transaction, the price matters. So if the price tomorrow is 90 cents, then there's a capital gain there. And depending on when you decide to sell this or trade it or do something else with this token that creates a taxable event, the price that you recorded at matters. So if you recorded at 6 cents, I mean, depending on if you bought $1,000 of this, that's a significant increase. You could be seeing $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 by the time this thing stops going up. That's all relevant for tax purposes. So you got to be careful how you record the information, and this is why it matters. Now, if you wait a year, then it's no longer considered ordinary income rate for tax purposes. At that point, it's called in the capital gains area. And how they get taxed is very different. So if it's a short-term ordinary income rate, then it's whatever your income rate is. That's how it gets taxed, generally speaking. If it's over the 12 months, then it's a capital gains rate, which is usually between 0 and 20%, depending on your income level. That's why it matters. That's why it's important to keep track of what you do with these cryptos. Now, when I first got into crypto, I thought, okay, I'll just do a couple transactions to hold on to, kind of like a stock. Well, what you quickly realize is that there's great opportunities out there, and next thing you know, 5 transactions turns into 10, turns into 50, turns into 150. And it can happen very quickly depending on what you're doing in the crypto market. So all this information gets really complicated, and if you're not recording it, what price do you record? And how do you know? Where do you go to find out? All of these things get a lot more complicated. Imagine if you don't keep track of anything, and a year goes by and you've got 1,000 transactions, and now it's time to do your taxes. Anybody think that might be I think that would be a challenge, and that's kind of the situation that I found myself in. Now, I had an Excel when I first started. I started recording a lot of information, but it wasn't necessarily the information I needed. It wasn't necessarily all of the information that I was going to need. So this is why this video is important. This is why I'm making this video. Don't make the same mistakes that I did. All of this information is important. Start as soon as possible to record the information. So what information is important, especially if you're inside the US? This is the IRS Form 8949. This is what you'll have to do at the end of the year for your taxes. So this is a good baseline for what information that you need to record. I would start here. This is just my recommendation, not financial advice. I'm not a CPA. I'm not a financial assistant. This is what I've learned over my time of doing crypto. Record this information at the bare minimum. I'd recommend additional information. The only thing the IRS cares about is the US dollar amount, but I typically track all of the amounts just to make it easier. Whatever the price was at the time for whatever crypto asset I'm talking about, whether it's Ethereum or Binance Smart Chain or some other token, I try to record as much information as I can for that transaction. And that's just my recommendation for how you do it as well. So what if you have been buying crypto and not keeping track of the information? How do you start if you haven't been doing it? Where do you go? What process do you use? So for that, my recommendation is areas like on the screen here. So this is Etherscan. Now, this isn't my wallet. I don't know whose wallet this is. I don't know anything about this person. And this is, if you watch my crypto terms or my exchange videos, then you kind of understand that everybody can see everything. It's very transparent. It's kind of like looking at your account. Any single person can go look at this information. You can type up the Etherscan website and just randomly pick anybody, but you don't know who it is. You just see the information, right? So you have one of these as well. So if you have your wallet address, you can look up, especially if it's a Ethereum-based wallet, you can look it up on here and see every transaction you've ever done. Now, entering this information into whatever system can take a while, depending on the system you're using or if it's in Excel. Now, this person here has only got 96 transactions, so it's a little bit easier. But you start clicking on these, and they start to get kind of confusing. There's a lot of information going on. There's the value at the time, the transaction fees, the gas, and the price. Some of it's in US dollars, some of it's not. So most of the time, they include the US dollars in the information as well, right? Binance Smart Chain has the exact same thing. Almost every crypto out there has something like this, so you can quickly go look at it. Plus, depending on what exchange you're using, the exchange might have the information there as well. Or they'll send you the tax documents at the end of the year, so it makes it a lot easier. But if you're not using an exchange or if you're using a decentralized exchange, this could be a very complicated process. My recommendation is if you use some sort of an Excel or a Word doc to record your transactions, that you add the address for the transaction next to that transaction so that if you ever have to refer back to it, it's easy to find. That's how I've been doing everything, and it's been very helpful for me to be able to track back and ask questions about what I did or when I did it. Some of these transactions, especially if you're talking liquidity pools or staking, reading them can be a challenge. So the amount of things that are happening here can get really lengthy depending on what you're trying to do, and really complicated for recording purposes. So the more information that you record at the time of the transaction, the easier it'll be to do your taxes at the end of the year. So what is the best way to keep track of your crypto transactions? Excel is great. It depends on how busy you're going to be and how many transactions you're going to do. So my recommendation is if you don't think you're going to be very busy or have a lot of transactions, at the very least, keep it in Excel. That's what I use. I continue to use it even though I have software as well that I use. There's some Excel offers some great options, especially if you link to CoinMarketCap's API for the live price. It allows for, at least for me, to inform some of my decisions on what I want to buy, when I want to buy it, that kind of stuff, or if I want to sell, to ensure that I get at least 20% profit. I know what those numbers are, and I can use Excel to kind of do that for me. So I don't necessarily keep it as much for tracking purposes anymore, although I do keep some information in there as well. My recommendation, big picture, is to use a software-based solution. Most of them are free or have a free version, and some of them will even link to other tax software depending on how you do taxes. If you use TurboTax, for example, some of them have ways to import your information directly into TurboTax when you're doing your taxes, which makes it very convenient and very easy to do. There's generally a fee, so the cost associated with using those software options does increase. But other options allow you to download the transactions and send it to your tax professional or whoever does your taxes for you, or to allow you to do it yourself. So a lot of great options out there. Excel's awesome. If that's something you're interested in learning more about, or if you want me to do kind of a what do I do for Excel, let me know in the comments, and maybe I'll do a how-to video for how to set up an Excel to keep track of your taxes. But for the rest of this video, let's talk software options, because I think there's some really great software options out there, and I think you'll like them as well. Feel free to Google YouTube or Google or YouTube videos on any of these options, or to see what other options are out there, because there are more. These are just the 3 that I recommend. I've used all 3 of them. All 3 of them are great. I'll tell you some of the pitfalls that I encountered with a couple of them. They're great options. And for these also, if you're interested, I can do a how to set up an account with these as well, if you let me know in the comments. All right, so the first one I'm going to talk about is CryptoTrader.Tax. I know the web address is interesting, but I promise you it's a legit website. They've been around for years. It's a great tool. The link that's in there is my affiliate link. I put this down in the description as well. Feel free, if you like this software, please use that. And I do get a small amount every time that somebody signs up for it. So if you want to help support the channel, please click that link and sign up for CryptoTrader.Tax. What is it that I like about this one? As you'll see here on the screen, it's linked with TurboTax. I use TurboTax every once in a while. Sometimes if I've got a lot more stuff going on, I go to a tax professional. But generally, I can figure out how to do TurboTax pretty well. So that's usually my go-to just to save myself some money. So I like the option of being able to link it directly with TurboTax, and it's got a lot of great options built in. You can take a look at the website, get more information. If you want me to go through and do a deep dive, I'll do that if that's something you're interested in. But it's got a lot of great options. Also, it's got the ability to link it to your wallets and your exchanges and import the information automatically. And to set up a permanent link, so every time you do a transaction, it automatically feeds into here, which is great. It keeps your job very simple for maintaining your records. The one caveat, and this applies to all of the websites, you need to click the transactions just to make sure that everything gets recorded correctly. Sometimes, depending on how the transactions are recorded, it won't necessarily catch all the fees correctly, and that applies to all of them. So I always recommend doing a thorough review of the data just to make sure that it's accurate to what you saw and what happened, especially if you start using Simplex or MoonPay to buy crypto as well. Those transactions generally have to be manually loaded in, or they're just not imported correctly. So all of them have that exact same issue. You always have to go through and verify your transactions to make sure they're correct. As far as pricing, this website does offer all of these websites offer free options. And you can see the hobbyist is the lowest option for the paid version at $49. Depending on how many transactions you've got, you can very quickly in the course of a year hit 5,000 transactions. So that's $199. It's a little on the pricey side, but I always recommend start free. Start at the free option. You can kind of see what each of these different options give you. It's a pretty robust option. Unlimited transactions, if you've got a lot of money put into crypto, it's possible to hit the requirement for unlimited trades. That's a lot though. Going over 5,000. I'm easily about 2,000 this year so far. So just to kind of put perspective, but I've got quite a few cryptos, and I do a lot of day trading as well with a couple of them. So I've got a lot of transactions. And in most of the day trading ones, I generally use a trading software that's going to give me my information anyway. But this also gives you a lot of options as far as seeing how your portfolio is doing, and it does your tax reports, so you can actually see your tax reports. It's a great website. I wouldn't recommend it if I didn't think it was a great tool. So before we move on from CryptoTrader.Tax, I just want to cover some of the things that it allows for integration with. So on the screen, you're going to see a list of all the different places that you can integrate with, whether it's through automatic or through manual integrations, and there's quite a few. And there's a next button at the bottom. I want to pay particular attention. We'll click on the wallet here. So you can see it's got MetaMask if you use that, Trust Wallet if you use that. What you won't see is Coinbase Wallet for some reason. Now on the All tab, we did see they've got Coinbase and they've got Coinbase Pro. That could be why. I have had some experiences where Coinbase Wallet doesn't properly integrate entirely. But I think the workaround for that is it's got links to Uniswap, which a lot of people use Uniswap. What you won't see on here is PancakeSwap. So you can kind of pick which one of these based off the integrations. And here are a list of some of the exchanges. Quite a few options. I'm just going to scroll. You can see this particular option lists you to a whole bunch of different for integration. So it makes it really easy depending on what you want to do with it, which is one of the reasons why I'm recommending it. Between that and the TurboTax integration, I think this is a good option for most people. And that's it for CryptoTrader.Tax. So next up, we're going to take a look at CoinTracking.info. So for CoinTracking.info, again, another great website, great resource. It's got a great free option. The next one that we're going to talk about, their free option is kind of limited in customer service. Again, for all three of these is phenomenal. I've emailed them and got responses back in minutes, or generally it's more like an hour or two, but really quick response time for customer service. They've got really good how-to videos, really good how-to resource in there. I provided them some feedback for all three of these on how it could be a little bit better and a little bit more user-friendly for the user. And some of the recommendations they've already implemented. So Again, all three of the ones I'm going to show you are great. I can't say enough good things about them. I would say CoinTracking.info has one of the more robust free options. You can see a lot of great information about your transactions, about your transaction history, and about how your portfolio is doing. So again, that's my affiliate link up there. So if you click this, please use that. Try to support the channel for me if you can, especially if you found this video helpful. But I can't say enough great things about this, and you can kind of see based on the images what kind of information. All of this is in the free version. Now if you want to take a look at the pricing, so here's the pricing model for CoinTracking.info, and you'll notice here that it's got a pretty solid free offering. It lists really the limitation here is 200 transactions, and then the ability to link to multiple accounts is limited. Plus there's a couple others, but it's got an escalation type business model, so the more you pay, the more options you get, which is not a bad idea. It's a good approach to it. As far as when you should do your upgrade, my recommendation is always start with the free. See if you like it. See how it works. See whether it integrates correctly, and I'm going to cover integrations here in a second, but make sure it integrates correctly and that it's going to do the things that you want it to do. And if you like this one versus the other one versus a different one, you've got options. Pick the one that works best for your situation. Now let's check out the integrations. So on this page you can see all the integration options, and they've got a lot. They've got exchanges, Coinbase, Coinbase Pro. You're going to see quite a few options on this particular page, and you can compare this to the previous one. Now when you start looking at wallets, here's where you're going to see a big difference. You don't see Trust Wallet on here. You don't necessarily see Uniswap on here. You don't see PancakeSwap. You're not going to see much of anything in terms of decentralized exchanges. So that might be a factor for you to consider. Now you can still link it to the various wallets that are out there. And that's a workaround from not being able to link to a decentralized exchange. But try it out, see which one works for you, and then make a decision on what you want to do. This one with 200 transactions, especially if you're brand new to the crypto space, that might be plenty. So take a look at it and see if that works for you. And that is it for CoinTracking.info. And now let's take a look at CoinTracker.io. Now CoinTracker.io is another great option, but it's very limited on its trial. So when you start using CoinTracker.io, what you're going to realize is that you're constantly going to run into these notifications that you need to upgrade in order to do something. You don't necessarily run into that in the other two that I've mentioned here. Still a great piece of software, has a lot of great options, but you're going to quickly identify that there are limitations. Now, when I started using this one, I'd already had way over a couple hundred transactions. So part of the problem I ran into might have been just because I imported way too many transactions and I immediately exceeded the threshold. Try it with yours, especially if you're a newbie and you don't have a lot. If you've got a lot of transactions, you might see the same thing I did, which is you just can't do much and you can't really explore what they offer because of all the limitations. And I also wrote them and told them exactly what I'm saying here is expand off the free, give more ability, whether maybe it's a 30-day trial. Maybe it's a 7-day trial. Give the user the ability to see how good the software is, because it's great software. It's got a lot of great options. I mean, you can kind of see on this page here, they've got a lot of good information, but even here, they don't necessarily show you all the different interface options they have, and they have a lot. Now you can go to YouTube and explore it that way, just like you're exploring it here right now with me, but they should give the user the ability to see within the free trial what their system offers. That's my personal belief on how they should set this up. So that's my one complaint or my one issue with CoinTracker.io. Not that it's not a great piece of software, because it is. It's just very limited. Now we can see here in the products, you got your wallet tracker, it's got the integrations with the exchanges, it's got all the same things that the other two had. They've got the ability, they've got tax information that they provide you, prices, the exchanges. It gives you real-time information on what your portfolio is doing. It does a lot of the exact same things, and it's got a really nice interface once you get past the free limitation. Now let's see what are the prices for CoinTracker.io. So now here's what it costs for the tax portion of this website. So again, 25 transactions. I had way more than that when I started. 100 transactions. I think most of us probably going to have above that. I think the general person that's looking at my YouTube video is probably only going to have less than 1,000 transactions. So this is probably where the vast majority of people are going to be at. And this is just the tax portion. Now what I'm showing you here is the price for the crypto portfolio assistant, which isn't too bad. I mean, this is essentially what you would need based off of the other comparisons we looked at. So for the Pro, it's $99 a month, which that is significantly more than the other ones for that option. But you may not need everything that's built into that particular option. Maybe at the $14 a month, which is comparable to the ones I just showed you price-wise. Or you can do a custom package, depending on what you've got. Most of us aren't going to have 100 wallets like the Pro offers, or even 30 wallets for like the enthusiast, unless you really start getting into a lot of different cryptos, especially the ones that are coins that have their own blockchain and might have their own wallets. I could see potentially you'd have a few, but even 30, that's a lot for the enthusiast. I'm sure there's people out there, but the average person is probably not going to have that many wallets. So that's their pricing matrix on how they've got things priced out. So that's it for CoinTracker.io. You'll notice that I didn't show you an integration tab for this particular portion of this video. It's because they don't have one that is accessible from their main portal. You have to get into the software, log in, and then you can see how things integrate. And it's very similar to the other ones. They've got integrations to exchanges, to wallets. You can directly from Etherscan or from BSC scan, you can actually pull in your transactions that way as well, or link them directly to wallets. So they have some options. I just can't show you the list. You have to actually go here and sign in, get an account, and then you'll be able to see that. And it's free to sign in and set up an initial account. As you can see here, it just doesn't have a lot of options. So you're going to be limited to 5 wallets. This is very easy to accomplish. And then you can see the limitations across their product line. But that is CoinTracker.io. I'll be honest, I did not spend a lot of time on CoinTracker.io just because of the limitations on what I could do once I got in there. And part of the problem is I imported several thousand transactions, so I quickly exceeded what it was authorized to do. So take that for what it is. You know, this one I don't have an affiliate link for. They don't have that kind of a program. The other two I do, and that has nothing to do with my review of this particular website. That's just the reality of CoinTracker.io. If they had a more robust free option, I'd give it a higher recommendation, but it is a great tool. So that's still my number 3 option compared to the other options that are out there. Hopefully you found this video helpful. I reviewed the comments, so make sure you leave any suggestions, requests, or questions you might have in the comments. If there are any topics you want me to dive deeper into, definitely let me know. Some of these definitely could have been their own video. I'll put the links that I referenced in this video in the description. I do get a small commission that helps me fund the development of this channel when you sign up for my links. So please show support for my channel by clicking the link and sign up. I've also provided a promo code for a small discount when available. My next video is going to be the differences between deflationary tokens and inflationary tokens. Just a reminder, if you found my content helpful, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and it might help you catch my content if you turn on notifications so you get notified when I post new material. I do plan on starting to do some token reviews. I expect those in the next week or two. Until next time, stay strong with those diamond hands.